Hello and welcome to South First. I'm Anusha Ravi Sood and you're watching State of Play, our daily roundup of all things politics, policy, and human interest. 11 lives lost. People as young as 17-year-old are among those who lost their lives at a stampede outside Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru on Wednesday. What was supposed to be a celebration of their favorite IPL franchise team, the Royal Challengers of Bengaluru, lifting the IPL 2025 Champions Trophy for the very first time after 18 years of this league. This entire celebration turned into a tragedy simply because several stakeholders did not do their job well. Right from the government of Karnataka, its ministers, including the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, who went all the way to the HAL airport to receive these players who were coming home from Ahmedabad after winning the cup, to the government of Karnataka that celebrated or rather organized an impromptu felicitation of these players at the steps of Vidhan Sabha. What governance has to do with this private IPL franchise is anybody's guess. Actually, nothing. To the police, who were not given enough time to organize, arrange for deployment, and ensure safety of citizens. To the IPL franchise itself that kept sending miscommunication to its fans about a victory parade, although it had not been cleared by the police. And ultimately, the Karnataka Cricket Association that did not plan well or did not take care of entry points of fans into the stadium that only has a capacity of just about 35,000 people, where lakhs of people had gathered to see their cricketers. And ultimately, people who had been celebrating previously for 24 hours ever since the win for RCB in IPL 2025, who refused to let that spirit of celebration die down and kept gathering in huge numbers despite an already overwhelmed system. All of this ultimately culminated in a tragedy, taking away 11 lives. And for what? What happened in Bengaluru on Wednesday was very symptomatic of what we have been witnessing across the country. In the last year alone, since June last year, at least 180 Indians have lost their lives to stampedes at various instances in various states. There is no comparison. These are not statistics. Every single life lost is a precious life lost, and it is a huge tragedy. A tragedy that was absolutely preventable, avoidable. Every single life matters. But this is the pattern. A tragedy occurs, nobody takes accountability, no fixing of responsibility, and no outcome other than the government's coming out making an announcement of a compensation. And this is repeated time after time. Just to recall, from this year alone, January saw two different stampedes. The largest loss of lives were reported in the Mahakumbh stampede that took place on the 29th of January in Uttar Pradesh. Millions of devotees had gathered at the Sangam area, which led to a stampede on the auspicious occasion of Mauni Amavasya. At least 30 people were reported dead. Over 60 people were injured in this stampede. It was just this year, January. But the government there refused to come out, give the official death toll. They did not respond immediately. In fact, all efforts were made to hush down this entire incident. Only after it became impossible to contain the information of a stampede did the government eventually, in fact, the police eventually had to make a statement the following day to the people, acknowledging deaths during the stampede and mentioning the entire death toll. For more than 24 hours, there was no accountability. For more than 24 hours, we had no clue about the number of people that were left dead or injured in this stampede. Several reports that came later also raised questions on whether the police and their number or their estimate was concurrent with the kind of deaths that were being reported in the hospitals in Uttar Pradesh as well. In the same month of January, Tirupati saw another stampede, but the response of the government was starkly different. Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu, rushed to Tirupati right after the stampede. At least 6 devotees were killed in a stampede that broke out at a ticketing counter in Tirupati, and the Chief Minister there held a press conference barely hours after the stampede. The stampede had taken place the previous evening, and the next morning, the chief minister was there at Tirupati, issuing statements, visiting people who were injured in hospitals. And barely weeks later, in February, at a stampede in Delhi's railway station, in New Delhi railway station, platform numbers 14 and 15, at least 18 people were killed. Once again, no accountability, no responsibility being taken by anybody in charge. Incidentally, these casualties were also of people who were actually traveling to Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh for the Mahakumbh. And in May this year, yet another stampede reported in Goa during a temple festival in Shirgaon resulted in the death of 6 people. If these were the numbers from this year, barely a year, within the span of a year actually. Last year in December, a 35-year-old woman was killed in a stampede at a theatre. It was the special show, special screening of Telugu star Allu Arjun's much hyped movie Pushpa 2. A boy, this woman's son, continues to be in a coma, continues to be hospitalized. But months before the Sandhya Theatre stampede, which resulted in the death of one woman in Hyderabad, in July of 2024, 121 people, including women and children, were killed after a stampede broke out at the satsang, a prayer meeting that was organized by a self-styled godman, Bhole Baba, also known as Narayan Sakar Hari, in Uttar Pradesh's Hathras. All of these incidents in a span of just 1 year. Nearly 180 people who were killed in stampedes that were absolutely avoidable. Coming back to what happened in Bengaluru, on Wednesday evening, Chief Minister of Karnataka, Siddaramaiah, held a press conference to address and acknowledge the situation. He confirmed that 11 people were left dead in the stampede and more than 47 people were injured. While speaking about this injury, while speaking about the casualties, the Chief Minister also announced a compensation to the families of those who have lost their loved one. But more importantly, he pointed out that he's not going to politicize or defend this tragedy. He, in fact, responding to a very specific question about the criticism that the Congress has heaped on stampedes in places like Uttar Pradesh during the Mahakumbh, the Chief Minister insisted that he is not going to defend this tragedy by stating that, something like this has happened in other states as well. The government's response here is the bare minimum. However, this response of the government, addressing a press conference, acknowledging a tragedy, being transparent about the losses that were witnessed, being transparent about the lives that were lost, and being open about what it is going to do to fix accountability, to ensure that this doesn't repeat in the future, is something that is the bare minimum that a government owes to the people that has elected it. But it has become so rare. We are so used to governments trying to hide such instances, government refusing to acknowledge them openly, government refusing to simply give data about the loss of lives and injuries in situations like this, that a chief minister's press conference, whether it is Siddaramaiah in Karnataka or Chandrababu Naidu in Andhra Pradesh, these press conferences, which are bare minimum, seem like virtues. But just holding a press conference doesn't really take Siddaramaiah or his entire government off the hook. The question here is what led to such a tragedy? What happened that converted this celebration into this huge chaos, ultimately resulting in deaths of 11 people? It all started when the government and its ministers, especially Karnataka's Deputy Chief Minister, who's also the Bengaluru in charge minister, took it upon himself to make this victory their own. IPL is a private franchise. It's a multi-crore franchise. It has got nothing to do with the government of Karnataka. What was the need for the government of Karnataka to rush in and make this an event of its own? Even if you were to argue that this is the kind of love that people have for this match and the government was simply reciprocating the kind of support RCB has, no doubt all of us can be cricket fans. But there is a difference between what a fan, an emotive fan, should do and what a government should be doing. Have you seen the Karnataka government rush to felicitate players of Ranji Trophy, which is Karnataka's own cricket team, at such a large scale? Never. Yes, the anticipation of winning this IPL trophy for 18 years has been high. Fans of RCB have been loyal, players of RCB have been loyal to the franchise. All of that is true. But the attempt to get a PR gimmick out of this victory resulted in absolute chaos from all stakeholders: fans, the government of Karnataka, RCB's management, as well as the Karnataka Cricket Association. The stampede and the loss of lives that came about as a result of it have been used as an ammo by the opposition party in Karnataka, the BJP as well as the JDS, to attack the Congress government, and the opposition is right in demanding accountability from and answers from the government. Right after Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar received the team from the HAL airport, there was a huge convoy of vehicles, and you could see people from both sides of the road standing behind a barricade as the cavalcade led the team's official bus with Virat Kohli and the captain Patidar holding the trophy right at the front of the bus, and people could see the trophy, you could see the excitement. Right after that, the Karnataka government decided it was best to felicitate this entire team on the steps of the Vidhan Sauda. Vidhan Sauda, which is the power corridor of Karnataka. The legislative assembly, the legislative council is in the Vidhan Sauda. That is a place that is the heart of governance in the state. And that was converted into a place of jubilation and celebration. You could see thousands of people congregating outside the gates of Vidhan Sauda wanting to see the felicitation event. Even as this continued, the previous day, RCB's official handles had already announced that there was going to be a public victory parade. An announcement that was made without consultation with the police, with no permission sought for such a victory parade. CBD area is the heart of Bengaluru. Traveling on these roads on a daily basis itself is a nightmare. Having a victory parade in these roads is definitely a combination of mayhem. While RCB had announced a victory parade, the Bengaluru police on the other side had announced that there was only going to be a special event organized by the Karnataka Cricket Association KSCA at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, asking fans to not park their vehicles anywhere in and around, issuing a traffic advisory to avoid these roads. Incidentally, the police did not categorically say there won't be a victory parade, which the Bengaluru police should have done. Even till the afternoon of Wednesday, there was confusion on whether there will be a victory parade or not. But what Bengaluru police said for sure is that there was going to be an event at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, and entry is only going to be given on the basis of tickets or passes. This is where the RCB too made an announcement that free passes were available on their site. This is where the entire chaos began. A lot of people could get those passes to gain entry into the stadium, a lot others didn't. Eventually, this victory parade did not take place. Fans who had gathered right from Vidhan Sauda till Chinnaswamy Stadium started moving towards the stadium. Lakhs of fans towards a stadium that has a seating capacity just for about 35,000 people. As their favorite cricketers were being taken to the Chinnaswamy Stadium for a felicitation ceremony organized by the KSCA, fans who did not have a ticket or a pass, who only wanted to be part of the victory parade, had there been clarity on whether there would be a victory parade or not, maybe so many people would not have gathered at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. There's no means of assessing this. One can only guess that perhaps a lot of these fans wanted to be part of the victory parade. However, since there was no parade and there was confusion over whether there will be a parade or not, the lack of clarity, the confusion, and multiple halts led to a crowd surging right outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium. There are multiple gates of the Chinnaswamy Stadium, and the crowds outside wanted to gain access. Several of them started pushing, trying to break the gate down, hoping to gain entry into the stadium, and all hell broke loose. Among those severely injured, among those dead, are young children, women, all of them not above the age of 25. The Karnataka government has now ordered a magisterial probe into this entire scenario. But is that enough, is the question. There are several unanswered questions. Who will take responsibility? Whose idea was it to hold these multiple felicitation events? Why could they not give the police enough time to plan better deployment and security protocols? The lives of the citizens of Karnataka is the responsibility solely of the government of Karnataka. Was there a need for the government to be embroiled in an emotive PR stance and buy into the frenzy? People are emotional. A crowd is largely, perhaps, foolish. Fans are crazy, mad. All of these things are true. This is exactly the reason why a government should do better, be better, plan better, execute things better. The government cannot afford to allow emotions to get the better of logic or logistics when it wants to celebrate a cricket team of an IPL franchise. The tragedy that unfolded outside the gates of Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru on Wednesday, on a day that was supposed to be marked with celebration, was an absolute and without doubt the result of abysmal preparedness. A tragedy that could have been averted if only the event was planned better, there was better coordination, and more than anything, the patience to consult with stakeholders like the police, who are ultimately in charge of safeguarding the lives and wellness of citizens on ground. It's not as if the Bengaluru police is incapable of handling crowds. Let's remember that barely a few years ago, the same Bengaluru police, along with Bengaluru traffic police, managed crowds running into lakhs for entire days when crowds were gathering from across the country to pay respects to Puneet Rajkumar at his final public display. This was also an event that was organized at another stadium in the same central business district area. Throughout night, the police were deployed there to ensure that there was no untoward incident. So the police in Bengaluru are completely capable of handling crowds, only if you allow them the chance to plan properly, execute well. Several people in the police department insist that they were opposed to the event at Vidhansada and at Chinnaswamy Stadium, both, and this victory parade. They wanted a more structured event that will allow for proper deployment of security personnel to ensure that no untoward incidents take place. With an event taking place in Vidhansada, the entire police machinery was more focused on this VIP event than the people who were outside Chinnaswamy Stadium. It is very easy to blame people and say fans were mad to have gathered in such huge numbers when they knew that this is going to overwhelm the system. But people, at the end of it, are emotive. The responsibility of safeguarding their lives fall with the government. And in this instance, the Karnataka government simply cannot wash its hands off. Until I come back to you with yet another episode of State of Play, do stay tuned to South First. Thank you so much for watching.